Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and today I am joined by 26 in Paradise. How you guys doing?
Good, good.
We're back.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys here because we're talking about the title update. We're going to have another little discussion because, of course, title update dropped this week. We got some new monsters, some new gear, some new stuff to grind. It's been a lot of fun, so as we always do, it's discussion time, and today we're going to break it down into the main chapters. We're going to talk about the new monsters, because they're really cool. We're going to talk about some of the new gear, because it's also really cool. Talk about some of the new systems, and of course we will also, to be objective, touch on some of the stuff that we do not like as well. But overall, we've been having a blast with this, so that's your little breakdown. That's what we touched on today. I will try and remember to put the timestamps in the video, so comment down below, give me a thumbs up if I remember to do it, because sometimes I forget. But anyway, if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you are thinking of the update. Have you been enjoying it? Is there anything that they haven't done that you're hoping to see in future title updates? And of course, do be sure to keep it locked for plenty more. But guys, to begin with, before we do, this is the usual thing we do. Before we dive into the specific topics, give me like a couple lines, initial impressions of the update. I don't want to hear your life story. Yeah, I don't want to hear your life story.
Wait. Before you do that, let's just get a little disclaimer out beforehand. Anything that we say in this video is our personal experience. Some of it might apply to you because you might be similar players to us, but we are not saying this is the experience that you will have with the title update. This is our own personal experience.
This is true.
That is very
Paradise
true.
is gone.
All right, I was excited to go first because I know you guys that have watched many of the discussions before should know that I like to be as neutral as possible so that expectations are managed. But do you know what? On this one, I love it. I love this title update. It's got a lot of things in that make me very, very happy, which we'll touch on throughout the whole video. But overall, I am very much enjoying this title update.
Nice. I feel that might be the shortest one yet from Paradise. I feel like I was about to get the popcorn. I was like, this guy's still going to give me his life story. But hey, that's good. Yeah, it was good. 2-6. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I want to have more time on with it because it's only been out for like a few days. But in terms of Monster Hunter updates, in terms of the breadth of how much content we actually got, I feel like this is a happy medium. I don't think I'll be happy with like the amount of content that we would ever get in a Monster Hunter update, but this is definitely there. I don't know what you guys in the comments think about it, but it definitely is quite a meaty update in terms of like the monsters that you get, the armor skills being a lot of like variety there, and the endgame really being like added to the game. This is like a full-on there's a grind that people can do, at least. I haven't really made my mind up on that grind yet, but the grind is there at least for people.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff to pursue. Yeah, I definitely mirror that as well. I've really enjoyed this one, especially like some of the monsters. I'll be honest, like I went into it a bit like, you know what, like I've said this in many discussions before, like your boy is bored of Rathalos and Rathian in all versions of them, right? Like we're gonna get to them in a minute because they're still cool.
Stop it!
All I was just saying, but I went into it thinking, oh, you know what, like Gold and Silver's cool, don't get me wrong, but like it would have been cool to have some others. But then I thought them, I was like, alright, cool, this is hella awesome, and yeah, I've been having a blast with it as well. So overall, we have been super enjoying the update. But let us use that as a segue to talk about the new monsters, because of course, Seething Basil Geese, the Gold and Silver Wraths, and of course also Lucent Naga. So let's start about them in the order that we encountered them. Seething Basil, of course, returning from World and Iceborne. That was a cool fight. That was definitely a very cool fight.
He got beat up too quick though. Like that's the problem with Seething Basil. You went in and we absolutely wrecked him. That I didn't feel like I fully got to experience that fight to see all the different moves. But the stuff that he did do, it did catch me off guard, and it's always nice seeing those like crazy moves. And I feel like there just needs to be more Basil. Just more Basil flying around, being an AC 130. It's a good time, you know. It's just a good
100%.
time.
Like Basil was from World, right? And from the I can't even remember the theme song in the fight of Seething, but I remember the original theme song, and it's just always made me appreciate and enjoy the Basil fight. And because when he goes like enraged and glowy, you hit like massive high damage numbers all the time, and it just like is a fight that feels good, right? You are right. We did fully bully him into oblivion. He was just like a punching bag. So there wasn't a huge challenge there with Seething Basil, but he's at a top level. He's a monster that looks cool and is a satisfying monster to hit with your weapon. Like I said, with the high damage numbers. And I enjoyed the fight, but it wasn't my favorite out of the bunch, I will say.
No, but I definitely did enjoy that. I think I like the visual spectacle for this one. It's like, especially the glowing purple stuff all over the ground. In fact, you do raise a good point though, because we bullied it in our fight and like we defeated it super fast. It was only when I was editing the videos afterwards and I actually went through the Basil footage that I got to appreciate the fight more, because obviously I wasn't playing, I was editing. And like, the part when he just dive bombs into the ground, I never actually like really sat down and paid attention, but he literally just flies nose dive into the ground. Not a diagonal one, I'm talking about this new one where he like set up the arena with all the big purple stuff and just literally, like a nuclear bomb, just dropped into the middle of the arena. That was kind of cool. So yeah, seeing Basil.
You know why you don't notice anything? Because I was editing your gameplay for that same fight. You do not turn your camera. Like, you'll be fighting inside the monster, you just won't rotate the camera so you can see anything, Alex. So, Alex, you're like, no wonder you don't see anything.
This is also probably true. That's probably why all my kill cams are just me inside the monster.
Exactly.
It's true. But moving on from there, we then had the choice, of course, once you've done that, you can either fight silver or gold. We decided to fight silver first. Silver, again, despite what I said at the beginning when I was like, I fought enough wraths in my time, kind of, you know, on the fence about this, it was a really cool fight. I feel like the new arena paired with the spectacle, paired with, of course, like all the bright colors and the crazy explosions, it's got some cool new moves as well. Like, I actually did really enjoy the silver wrath fight.
It looks really cool, like, in terms of like the, was it incandescence on the like the flames and all of that stuff, looks so good. And I've always like had kind of like a sneaky attachment to Silver Rathalos since Monster Hunter Stories 2, because if you play Monster Hunter Stories 2, shout out to all the Monster Hunter Stories 2 community out there, they're basically beastly in that game, because they're like the proper like endgame monsters, and they've got some like really good skills, especially on their stuff. So seeing it again in Rise is like an awesome one, and the updated moves as well. I would like to have seen a bit more of the effect used on the armor and like weapons and stuff, but yeah, it's a good fight. I really liked it. Probably my favorite out of the bunch.
I actually think you're right. Like, Stories 2 makes you appreciate them a bit more. I think I feel the same way. But I think I've always, like, we've fought gold and silver even a lot before, to be honest. So like, these aren't new experiences. But with them being new in Sunbreak, I fought a lot of Rathian in Sunbreak. Like, it's my training monster to get like cool clips of like doing switch axe counters. I know all the timing, right? But then you go in against like gold or silver, in this case silver, it's like, it kind of does throw you off a bit. It's a lot faster. It has those new moves. It has the new visuals in the fire, like being like cool, like purpley blue color. So for me, it was actually different enough that it was like, it was fun. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just beating on, and you know, I'm just beating on silver again. It was actually an engaging fight for me, and I really liked that.
Yeah, and of course then being in the arena as well, meaning you've got nowhere to run, which is always nice.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of also sort of segues into gold as well. I mean, gold and silver, obviously they do have some unique behaviors. I definitely feel like I enjoyed the silver fight more. I feel like the silver one had me on my toes a bit more. There were a couple more times where things were a little bit like squeaky bum cheeks. I was about to get blown up by like the whole like incandescent fire nova. Gold one, I think we kind of blitzed through more. Maybe it's just because we were kind of sort of getting into the rhythm on the day, so we sort of like ran through it. But yeah, Gold Wrath was pretty cool as well. But of course, after that we had Lucent Naga, which again, like, some people haven't fought this monster at all, and otherwise, if you have fought it, it was like 2013, unless you're one of those people that just goes back and plays the old Monster Hunter games all the time, in which case, that's fair enough. But Lucent Naga was really cool, even from the intro cinematic. The intro cinematic for this monster was probably one of my favorite ones they've had to date. But the fight, like, I feel like, because we've experienced invisible monsters before, of course, with Chameleos, but Chameleos, because it moves quite slow, admittedly they did have the cool thing in Rise where like it does have the sort of bait and switch and jumps behind you kind of thing, but because it's more slow, generally speaking, the invisibility isn't as much of a thing. But I feel like Naga, because it moves so fast, like, it actually lends itself well to that mechanic. So I really, I feel like when we finished the hunt, that was the one that I said, like, personally, I think that was my favorite hunt in the update. But where are you guys?
Yeah. I was gonna say, by far my favorite out of all of the new ones, like, hands down the most enjoyable and also like a new experience fight in Sunbreak completely. And I think you're totally right about the stealth. Chameleos is like, he's also quite massive, and he has a very, like, what's the word, like, you know where he's moving when he goes invisible, like it's telegraphed, at least better like than Lucent, who for me, as soon as he went invisible, and bear in mind, you know, that was our first hunt against him, but when he went invisible, I I was like, I don't know where he is. I am afraid. And that is a fun feeling, in Monster Hunter. And what it made me do as well is actually want to fight him more so that I could then learn where he does go. And you get those satisfying, like, counters or, like, you counter him when he comes out of stealth. And that's just, like, a really satisfying thing to do. So I feel like it not only was fun, but it will be a fun one to learn as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that he, like, the difference is with, like, Chameleos, like, Lucent definitely reminds me more of, like, Nightcrawler from X-Men. He just, like, disappears and then pops up somewhere else. And that speed just lends it to that fight so well and makes it quite an exciting experience. I feel like they did a good job with the set of monsters that they introduced in this one. Like, I didn't feel like it was super disappointing, because sometimes they do add a few monsters to the updates and you're just like, meh. But paired with the fact that we've got Lucent Naga in there and he's just like dodging around, he's got like that spectacle, and even with Silver Rathalos there's the spectacle of like the Novas and all of that stuff popping off. It's like, it's some decent monster sets in there, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super cool, and I definitely I still did not learn throughout the fight that every time I did the Metsu on the double tail slam, I kept on doing it on the first one, and the second one got me every time. One of these days, I will learn. But yeah, the monsters were very cool. However, the monsters then, of course, lead to new gear and weapons, and this is the super exciting thing. This is the part that got me super excited, because some of the new armor sets, in fact, pretty much all of the new armor sets are fantastic. Seething Basil is decent, but it's just like more of a comfy set, but the other ones are game changers. So we don't necessarily have to kind of go through all of them. Obviously, Seething Basilgeese has guts, which is nice, but it's like, of all of them, when you think about the sheer game changing skills that Gold, Silver, and Lucent have introduced, it kind of makes the Seething Basil one less exciting. So I feel like that's more of a fashion one. But like, we can obviously pick out different things, but I just want to quickly say that status trigger on Gold Rathian armor, oh my gosh, that thing is so much fun. Like, it's like the amount of slots you have in the armor, the amount of skills they've given you, they've just been hella generous, and having that move to basically just allow you to get 100% uptime on your status application is crazy. If you guys haven't tested it, like, we've done videos on it, but if you haven't tested it, please give it a try, because you will just look at it and be like, oh my gosh, why are these things getting paralyzed left, right, and center? It is awesome. But what about you guys? Like, 2-6 first. So, have you got any like favorite armor pieces from the update?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be status trigger, because I feel like it's just fun just playing with status weapons and getting those off and kind of really helping teams. But sneak attack seems interesting, and also adrenaline rush as well, which kind of really pairs well with status trigger as well. So both of those skills are ones that can actually like factor into actual builds, because it's always a weird one when an update comes out and you don't want to build towards that stuff. I've really liked how they've brought in a bunch of stuff, even elemental exploit, and they've really changed up the way that we think about the sets that we are building. There might be returning skills, so there's not necessarily like some of the skills are brand new to us, but it's still new in the context that we haven't seen them for a while in Monster Hunter. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's very good abilities.
Definitely. I think, look, basically I agree with everything you just said. For me, it's my favorite thing in the update, these new skills, because the new armor pieces have they're actually just really good. Like, you want them in your mix set. A lot of the pieces as well that you want with like the status trigger and stuff on, they also have like other good skills on them as well. And I feel like that's kind of rare sometimes, right? You get like one skill you want and a couple and like 2 levels in a skill you don't want, but you kind of have to use that piece anyway. Whereas now you've got like pieces with like status trigger, and you've got like foray on them, and other pieces with like chain crit just like whacked on there as well, which is just really good. So it completely mixes up like our mix sets. It takes you sort of back to the theory crafting table, and it's not just like, oh, got to make all new mix sets now. It's the mix sets that you're making now will be even more powerful than your ones before, which is exactly what you want in this scenario where new, stronger monsters and systems have come in. So you want to like level up all your mix sets, and that's exactly what these pieces do. And there's a lot of different combos that you can do with them as well. I think you guys are saying like status trigger, which is like really cool, but you pair that with adrenaline rush, they both activate on the same evade dodge, and you've suddenly got like massive raw bonus, massive status bonus. You can just go ham on the monster. Like, it just feels fun, and it's they're rewarding skills, because you have to like meet a condition, right? Whether it's to do an evade or to sneak attack, be like behind or to the side of the monster. So I feel like they're very satisfying skills as well.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. So and as you said, it's definitely nice as well, because I feel like we've had this in the past where occasionally like an update might come around and like, you know, sometimes the sets are cool, or sometimes there might be like one standout set. Other times it's like you have a new fight and you look at the armor set and you're like, it doesn't really apply to me. And sure, like if you don't play status, maybe it doesn't apply to you. But I feel like generally speaking, these are a good split where like everyone can, largely speaking, benefit from something. So I feel like they've done like a good sort of wide cast the net sort of thing. But let's then talk about the new systems, because of course outside of the new monsters and the new gear, we have the expansions to the endgame system. So as a super quick recap, of course they've added anomaly investigations, which is kind of like guild quest meets investigations. You basically get those as you level up your anomaly level, and then you can level them up and of course fight tougher monsters. And then also that leads into the endgame grind, which of course allows you to both upgrade your weapons, further upgrade your weapons and your gear. Of course, one of them is more fixed, one of them has an RNG element to it, but basically that is one of the sort of new systems. So let's kind of talk about like the investigation side of things first before we start talking about like the upgrade and stuff. How do you guys feel about those returning?
You tell us how you feel, Alex.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it was cool because I'll be honest, like, I know not everyone was a big fan of it, and like maybe sort of when the list got super crazy, it got a little bit like, you know, dragged it out, but like I really enjoyed investigations because I feel like I just like the slightly more random nature, because I get to the point where, you know, once you get to the end game of Monster Hunter and you've run through all of the quests you want, you got the armor sets you want, obviously you just jump back in and you just fight quests over and over again. But it's like you kind of get to that point where you've fought that monster in that locale, in that fixed setting so many times that I just like the more random nature of like, oh cool, I just happen to be fighting, especially the fact that once you get higher, the Apex monsters can start showing up, and I feel like this is really cool because the Apex monsters, I just feel like they never truly got to shine. Like they never had their own unique gear, they still don't, unfortunately, but they never had their own unique gear, and they were kind of just like this weird thing in base Rise that were like initially shoehorned into rampages, and then of course later on we got to fight them. By the time you got to fight them later on, I was like, I can't really be bothered to fight them. But the fact that now they can show up, now it's just one of those kind of things where investigations to me is a really good system for just giving you the ability to just like enjoy the whole monster roster. It's like playing like, I don't know, a fighting game and everyone picks random and it's like, okay, cool, today I'm playing a character I would never play. It's like, you know, I wouldn't normally go and pick a quest to hunt like Volvidon or Tetranodon because I'm just like, I'd rather fight something else. But if it happens to show up alongside like an afflicted Zenogre, cool. You know, I just think it's just like a nice way to continually play the game in a way that feels less monotonous and stuff. So I like it personally.
And I feel like just the presentation of it, obviously they've taken inspiration from the old games and like brought in a level system for your quests and stuff like that, but as you're leveling up your investigation, that it feels like that progression is continuing as well, and that is a decent feeling, making, rather than you kind of just like grinding. It might be just a temporary aesthetic thing, but there's something nice. I know there's other people that probably maybe feel like me. Just seeing that number go up and like and it's going up a little bit. This is great.
Yeah.
Nice. I agree with what both of you guys are saying, like the random sort of fun aspect of like you're not hunting the same thing over and over and over again. The progression side of it, so you feel like 26 just said, so you feel like you're making progress, but also the rewards are actually pretty good. Like, you know, you get all the pieces you need for the augmenting system, which you want because it's very repeatable. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you also get like the I can't remember the exact name, the coins that you take to the research guy and trade. And you can trade them in now. So it's not only like, oh, it's progression and it's a bit more fun than just the same monster over and over again, but the actual like items that you get are rewarding and usable. And that was one of my biggest annoyances in like base Rise, for example, where at a certain point after you had made your set, you just didn't really need the drops anymore. Like, and you know, you could meld, but if you were hunting a lot, you always had enough to meld. So it was like you just weren't getting anything. But now you have this like loop where you progress and you get things that you can actually use. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that is. I think that's a nice thing. I think it's just like if you do like, really enjoy the base flow of the game and you just want to kind of continue playing it, I definitely think it is in a much more kind of like replayable format, which I think is super, super cool. But, of course, this then expands into the endgame system, which for weapons is a system that basically, I guess it's kind of like a halfway house between like Rampage and sort of Safi Jiva, where like obviously you can use some of the new materials to unlock slots on your weapons, and then in a sort of very similar manner to Rampage, you can basically apply different things like you can add on, you know, attack or status, other things like that. And of course, this ties into the higher levels because then when you unlock like the additional levels and the additional slots, you can then, of course, beef up your weapon a little bit, which, of course, is really cool. The gear front, on the other hand, is very randomized, and this is the part that, like, I saw this one and I was like, I will come back later, right? Because this one is the RNG aspect of it, where, of course, you can roll an augmentation bonus, and it can improve basically anything. It seems to be able to improve, like, sometimes your defense, sometimes, the elemental defenses, sometimes it will give you a new skill, which sounds cool. The crazy thing that I was like, surely not, it can remove from existing skills on your armor. So let's just say, this is the thing. Let's just say, for example, the crazy new awesome gold Rathian set that I like, for example, it could take away one of those very good skills. That is a part where I was like, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. So, and because it is super random, like, I don't know whether, say, for example, like, behind the scenes, there's, like, a limited pool of things that each individual armor piece can pull from. Like, Gold Rathian could only ever have this, or, like, Rathalos could only ever have this. Because if it doesn't, that's a very big pool, and factoring in you can also go backwards and lose skills, that's a lot of gambling.
I just want to weigh in here, because when they first announced this in the tweets, we did a video on it specifically. I did that video, and I remember the different regions showed screenshots that had, like, the different stat changes and different skills that had been added on. So in that video, I was speculating this could be a preset list, or what I personally believed at the time, just based on the screenshots, was that this actually looks like it's random, because there wasn't any. It didn't look balanced between the skills that they were getting, so I was like, there's no way you would pick this one over this one, so therefore I think it's random, right? And a lot of people were like, oh no, please not more RNG. And at the time I was like, maybe that RNG would give it, like, that satisfying endgame loop that I was kind of desiring, where it was, like, infinite until you get, like, a god set. But yeah, I think having tried it, I can tell you anecdotally, I did, like, 8 different rolls on, like, a chest piece, used, like, all of my resources that we farmed, literally everything. And I didn't get literally anything that I got, like, a plus 10 defense boost in the end, because all the other ones rolled, like, bad and were, like, removing the skills, like you say, or, like, lowering my resistances. So I just ended up with plus 10 defense, which I basically rolled earlier on and just had to keep that one because the rolls weren't going favorable. So from my anecdotal experience, I actually kind of don't like it, because it takes a while to get those resources, and it looks like it's going to take, and I personally think it's going to be, like, at more than 10 rolls per, like, I think you're realistically looking at probably, like, 30, 40 plus rolls to get something favorable, if that, like, and that's being lucky, I would imagine. So I am not into the extreme RNG-ness of this, in combination with the charm RNG, which is already in the game. So yeah I do feel like, personally, I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? It's like, the update system is there. If you like this stuff and you want to use it, cool, go wild. If you don't, the thing about it is, like, you could already stack quite a lot of skills onto a regular armor set. Like, I've already got, like, some beefy looking armor sets that have just got, like, attack boost, weakness exploit, crit boost, like, everything you can possibly want. Or, like, my new status set, thanks to, like, the new pieces, has so many skills on it. I'm just like, yeah, sure, I could min-max it slightly so I can get one extra skill, and it's like, but do I really need that? Like, for me personally, as someone that's, like, obviously if you're, like, a speedrunner, or you're, like, a ultimate, like, you want to see what you can ultimately get, that's great. For me, that's never been the thing. I feel like I can already get all the skills that I want just from the existing armor pieces, so I feel like I would personally invest more time into putting those materials into the weapons, which is a fixed thing. I can just be like, cool, I'm running a status build, I'm going to boost my status, I might boost my attack a little bit, cool, that weapon is groovy. That's like, that I feel like is the extent that I would go. I personally don't really see myself using the armor system just because of, like, getting potentially a couple more pieces. But again, it's player choice, right? It's like, if you want to use it, great, because it does give you things. Like, some people just do like that randomized grind. Some people are like, I just want to play and I want to feed more materials into stuff. Like, some people seem to really enjoy, like, the whole pumping things into the charm pot. I don't personally, but it's like, oh yeah, play the game, get materials, feed it into the system, get some stuff out, hope I get good. If I don't, I keep going. Like, if that keeps you going, that's fantastic. But yeah, I would definitely say, of everything in the update, I love the monsters, I love the gear, I love the weapon upgrades. I don't personally like the gear system. That is my gripe.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it depends on how much time you have to invest in to get a good set out. I feel like in any game that you play across the board, if you're building an endgame set, there's, like, a number that you kind of subconsciously have in the back of your mind of how much hours should I have to spend on this set of grinding to get this set basically. And I feel like this system is so far out the remit of like that number, because it's going to be so RNG heavy that it's going to take people, rather than, for me, I would feel comfortable spending a day or two trying to grind for, like I said, I feel like this is going to be probably weeks if you wanted to get the perfect set that you wanted to, because there's so much RNG on each of the pieces that you're going to have to be grinding monsters, going back in, rolling, which is what people want, right? You want to play the game and you want to grind. So for the people that want to do that, that is very cool, and that is awesome, but you don't need to do it as well. Like Alex is saying, all the monsters, even up to A5, weren't that hard. Maybe we might need it in the future, some additional bonuses and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily that like harsh in terms of like you're going to get battered at like A5 by not having it. So it's, I don't know really how to feel about it. It'd be nice to know how you guys in the comments are really feeling about it in general. I would say an indicator if something is too RNG heavy, I know people will save scum anyway, but if you go check like Reddit or if you go on YouTube or Twitter, you're going to see loads of people talking about save scumming. And when you see something like that, and a lot of people talking about it, not just a few people that are going to save scum anyway, like when it's one of the like bigger videos or more upvoted posts on Reddit, you kind of know that the community is not necessarily resonating in the same way, because people are trying to cheese it because they don't feel like it's a fair system. But for me, I don't know how I feel about it. We'll have to see how it goes as more monsters come in and as the TU comes in, because some of the systems that didn't make sense in Base Rise makes more sense in Sunbreak, and some of the systems that don't make sense in Base Sunbreak make more sense in TU1 now. So it'll be interesting to see like where they go with it, but it's nice that there is more of a grind, even though it's going to take people longer. Maybe they might tune it down for people and give you more chances. They always like adding quality of life.
I think you did hit the nail on the head there. I think it's like one of those, because you know we played like many other kind of games that also have like endgame grinds, you know, like you think about like Destiny, Division, MMOs, just anything like that. And I feel like I've always been of the mind where like if I'm going to do something that requires a bunch of like RNG investment, like invariably you want there to be a reason for that. It's like if, for example, you have like a Fatalis level quest where it's like, oh, everyone's getting their butt kicked because they just like, they need X, Y, Z skills on their armor. They just like, if you don't have this, you might as well, you know, then it's like, okay, cool, I have a reason for it. But for me, it's like if I'd spent like 5 days min-maxing, be like, okay, cool, I managed to sneak like an extra 3 points in attack boost, an extra like weakness exploit, and suddenly also get like, I don't know, dereliction of my, I'm making things up, I don't know if you can get these things, but like I've got all these things on here, and then I'm like, oh, but the reason I've got that is so that I can fight like Fatalis 2.0, like, cool. But if it's like, now I can kill Tetranodon 5 seconds faster, I'm like, that's not for me. But again, that's me.
But that's for other people, don't it? That's for other people. It's not for you. Yeah. But there's a reason that it needs to be in there. Like people will like that. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah.
I do 100%. Think though, if they put the weapon augment system with the slots that you unlock and then slot in, which you also have to unlock the slots to slot in, but if they did that on all the armor pieces, I actually think I might prefer that, because you have like a definitive start and end to your armor set grind, and it will still be like, you will still need to farm a lot for it. And then once you've done one set, you know, I think it's very rare to play one set through the entire game of Monster Hunter. Like, maybe I'm an outlier, but I have like, you know, pages of mix sets, right? So once you've done one set, you move on to the next one. Whereas with the RNG-ness, it's like you're just always on the treadmill trying to get it. Whereas if it was the weapon system on the armor, then like I say, you could have that definitive, I finished this mix set is now done, and then you can move on to the next one, and you're still playing, but it's just not got that RNG-ness. So I do wonder why they chose to do it differently on the armor.
Well, I will say just before we move on to the next one is though, Paradise posted a screenshot that somebody did on Twitter of basically like this set that somebody had like showed the modded version of what a best possible set could look, and it had like 1,000 skills on it, and it was like 4 pages. That makes me feel weird from why do we have so much skills, and it makes me feel bad that I don't have that many skills if that is possible, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Yeah, obviously, as Tusik said, like, let us know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of that stuff? But outside of that, it was really kind of just like moving on to, which I feel like we've segued into organically anyway, but like, what else we didn't like? And I feel like, for me personally, that was the only thing from the update that I didn't like. Everything else I, super enjoyed, and like I've definitely like had a bunch of fun with it, and still obviously been playing through, like loving my new status set. So I haven't really got any like additional gripes. There is one thing that I was like a feature I would like to see in the future, but I'll throw it to you guys first, see if there's any like additional gripes before we move on, and then we can round it out. Wait, so anything else you guys didn't like?
I'll just sort of echo your point that it's the RNG-ness that is my biggest gripe, but I can live with that as well, to be honest. Like at least there's a little bit of dopamine when you hit the re-roll button on it, you know. So there's a little bit of excitement there, even though it is not my favorite feature. Can I just do a little twist though? Just say one thing that I noticed that I do like, which is when you go to the melding pot and you like add in a new one to meld, it doesn't give you the pop-up to use the MP accelerant anymore. It's a toggle, so it's one less button press. And also, I always used to accidentally just press yes because it defaulted on yes, and I would use them all up. So I just like that little quality of life.
I see. Okay, nice. 2-6. What about you?
Same thing is going to be the armor system that I really don't gel with at the moment. Actually, I won't even say I don't gel with. I don't know how to feel about it because we've only spent X amount of time with it, so I don't want to really have an opinion on it basically at the moment. So as it comes in, I will say in general, this update, by adding more monsters and adding more of an endgame grind in it, if you didn't play, I said in our initial review, like if you didn't enjoy Rise, then you probably wouldn't enjoy Sunbreak. I feel like now's a good time to try it again if you didn't necessarily jam with Rise and you're moving over from like another Monster Hunter game, or you're not necessarily the biggest Monster Hunter fan. Now's probably a good time to try it because the build variety is there. There's things to aim for, there's challenges, there's cool little side things to get, and people kind of are really enjoying the experience, even if there is like a bit of contention at endgame. But I don't feel like most people would experience that anyway and be grinding that much. So you're just going to jump in on a hunt, hit some anomaly monsters, and have some fun.
Yeah. The last thing I did want to have, like, it was kind of actually like a side tangent off like what Paradise said. Like, there's one thing I would like to see in the future, right? And I've kind of said this. I said this back in Base Rise. Like, I still personally miss. Like, okay, it was a different system. Like, obviously in World we would get decorations and charms for the thing, but conversely, if you think about Generations or like previous games when you used to get charms as post-quest rewards, I miss this, right? Because I don't personally like the melding pot, right? I know sometimes people like to go there and do the whole like unbox and get all those kind of different things like that together, but for me, I always forget, right? I just always forget to go to the melding pot, so I'm always sitting on basically no charms. I kind of wish in future title updates there would be a system where you do investigations, and when you complete investigations, instead of like in World where investigations would give you decorations, investigations could give us charms. I would much rather just complete a quest and be given a bunch of random charms, as opposed to having to go back. Just because, again, for me personally, I'm not saying take the charm pot away, still leave it in there for people that want to go and get more charms, but I, as a person, and maybe it's just uniquely a very me problem, but I, as a person, just never remember, right? I just don't do it, so I just don't get new charms. Whereas if I complete an investigation, just that added a little extra RNG, that's the kind of RNG that I like. It's like, oh, scroll to the list, even though 99% of the time you're like, it's rubbish, I'm going to delete it. But occasionally when you finish an investigation, you're like, oh, I actually got like 3 points and attack boost on this decoration. That's all. I mean, there's the charm. Like, that's awesome. So I feel like in a future title update, I personally would like to see charms worked into post-quest rewards, but that's just a little ask from me.
Yeah, maybe they could do it as an event quest, like just because they plan to add in event quests. We don't know what they are, but they could just give it as event quest rewards and make it like some challenging, like a 3 hunt of challenging monsters, and then at the end you get like bam 10 random rolled charms, and then you just repeat that. Yeah,
that would be cool. Yeah, well, there we have it. That's pretty much it for the time being.
Let's bring back question of the day.
Oh, question time.
So question time for this video is, what was your favourite monster of the update, and what monster do you hope to see in the future in the next updates? If you could have any monster across the whole Monster Hunter roster, I want to see that weird fish thing from Frontier. You know, the one that's like that purple weird fish looking man hybrid thing. Have you seen that?
I have seen that one, but it's really funny.
That sounds weird. I need to go and Google that afterwards. Cool. I want to see more Frontier monsters actually. Yeah, there's a lot that I haven't even looked up. But yeah, let us know down below. That's the question. If you missed some of the recent videos, be sure to check out one of these ones. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next one.